Desk digging out. Feet of snow fall across north central New York. Residents say it's one of the worst starts to winter in memory.
We always get lake effect, but we don't normally get it that fast and that hard.
An avalanche in Utah raises questions of safety versus access to public lands.
There are no legal consequences if you trigger an avalanche, if you get caught in an avalanche.
A new effort is underway to protect Florida's shoreline.
But even strong winds during the winter can cause erosion on our beaches.
The latest report card on the Arctic's health is raising alarming concerns.
The Arctic is warming much faster than the globe overall.
And we kick off our months-long celebration of Amazing America, leading up to the nation's 250th birthday this summer.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Clearing snow after a big storm is tough enough, but when the snow is measured in feet instead of inches, it could actually take days. That's why people living north of Syracuse, New York, are facing right now. Days of snow left communities buried. People who live there say this has been one of the worst starts to winter they have ever seen. This is all happening in Oswego County, a region that is used to seeing lake effect snow dumps. Isabel Doherty has more.
Sandy Creek was hit with more than 3 feet of snow over the last few days, making driving and plowing a much bigger challenge.
We had a 36-inch snowfall in about 6.5 hours, and then we had the following day we had a 2-foot snowfall in about 6.5 hours. So we don't normally get. We always get lake effect, but we don't normally get it that fast and that hard.
Well, it was a very sudden thing just this past week. We've got 2 really heavy dumps. Otherwise, it was like previous years.
To improve driving conditions, highway crews are spreading out across Sandy Creek to clear and widen roadways.
Today's kind of catch-up day. We're out with a loader. We're pushing stuff back. Got 2 loaders going. Got a tractor going, an excavator going. We cleared out probably 75 fire hydrants this morning, so in case there's an emergency, the firemen can access the fire hydrants. So they've got their blower up here today, blowing the roads back so we can keep them wide so we don't lose them and get choked off with snow.
Kassler says patience is key as crews continue clearing roads.
Just be patient. Just be patient. If it quits snowing, we can have all the roads opened up in 3 or 4 to 5 hours. It just takes us time to get around.
Time to dig out, plow, or push through the snow. Something folks up here in Sandy Creek are used to, just not this early in the winter season.
I usually don't shovel my driveway because there's usually not 3 feet of snow. I just drive through it and the bank, but this year I've had to shovel it.
Well, one person is dead following an avalanche in Truckee, California. That's not far from Lake Tahoe. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office says the slide happened around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. A person on a snowmobile was found buried. Other snowmobilers pulled the rider out of the snow, but they were unable to revive that person. Officials warned conditions remain unstable and urge others to avoid that area. Well, 2 teens in Utah triggered an avalanche while skiing in a national forest, but outside the boundary of a resort. As Liv Kelleher reports, that's raising questions about the balance of public access against access to public lands.
After a slow start to winter, heavy snow in the mountains is a relief to many, but was potentially life-threatening for 2 teens backcountry skiing near Brighton Resort.
They upset the balance, and it collapses the snowpack and causes an avalanche.
According to the accident report, the 2 teens took a lift at Brighton before rope ducking out of bounds and entering public land.
It's not our place to tell people not to go into the national forest and enjoy it. It's just our place to tell them that, hey, you're leaving an area that has management on it, people keeping an eye on things.
Jared Winkler with Brighton Resort explains that they will create inbound closures to ward off areas within the resort at risk of an avalanche, which Ski Patrol can monitor and enforce.
The first thing is probably just take away their skiing privileges.
But when it comes to regulating backcountry riders on public land,
there's really no rules.
According to Utah's Avalanche Center, the state leads the nation in avalanche-related deaths caused by people entering the backcountry from ski resorts.
People have this false sense of security because it's saying like, well, I'm on a slope and the resort is just right there. It must be safe here. But once you go through that gate, you duck a rope, then you're in the backcountry.
Do we have enough regulation there?
We have a right to go onto public land, and we can make our own decisions. There are no legal consequences if you trigger an avalanche, if you get caught in an avalanche, you're on your own.
And good news this morning about a wildfire that started on New Year's Eve in southwestern North Carolina. The Haircomb Gap fire is now around 100% contained after burning just over 20 acres. So far, no word about what sparked the blaze, but weekend rain helped firefighting crews put it out. Ryan Sockett has more from Rutherford County.
We spoke with Danny Brazington with the North Carolina Forest Service, which is leading these efforts, and he tells us they don't know what caused the fire and that it's still under investigation. The fire was reported by several people at around 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Brazington tells us one home had 50% of their yard scorched, but crews were able to control that fire before it reached the structure. He tells us no structures are in danger at this point. He says they've been fighting this fire on the ground and from the sky.
Right now, we're trying to mop up, which is putting out all the hot spots and cutting down all the snags to reduce the probability of the fire escaping. Currently, we have a helicopter making bucket drops, and then just keep monitoring it.
This area was not only affected by Helene, but also previously burned by the Party Rock fire in 2016.
In western North Carolina, a holiday season staple is being used to help with rehab and also recovery at a lake that was devastated when Helene blew through nearly a year and a half ago. Taylor Thompson reports.
You can attach it here.
Exactly.
While the town has collected trees since 2007, this year is particularly important. The town was wrecked when Helene came through in September of 2024, and they just finished cleaning out the lake this past December. But in cleaning out the lake, everything had to go, including their fish habitats. Commissioner David DiOrio says they're now starting with a blank slate.
We are focused on getting their habitat back and marrying them back up with their food source in order for them to be completely healthy again. And the Christmas tree program is going to help us do that.
The town says past studies have shown that the best fish habitats consist of woody materials like Christmas trees. The trees are deposited into 10 to 12 feet of water away from traffic to help create a healthy fishery. DiOrio says they expect to receive several hundred trees this year, all going towards helping to reopen the lake. He expects the lake to be at full level by early spring in order to have a normal year.
Now to Florida, where a new effort is underway to protect the Atlantic shoreline along the popular Hutchinson Island. Erosion has hit hard, and now another project is underway to protect the beach from future storms and create a healthier habitat for sea turtle nesting. Danny Travis has more.
Hutchinson Island, where locals and tourists alike come to enjoy 21 miles of beautiful beaches in St. Lucie County. But even this coastline isn't immune to Mother Nature.
We have seen a lot of storm damage in the last few years. Fortunately, we haven't had any real direct major hits from hurricanes, but even strong winds during the winter can cause erosion on our beaches.
That's why 3.3 miles of shoreline is now undergoing a federal renourishment effort. It'll span from Normandy Beach south to the Martin County line, with Dolman Beach being the first section to close.
It'll be roughly almost 400,000 cubic yards of sand that'll be brought in, pumped through piping offshore to our beaches to help renourish our beaches, to protect the shoreline, but also provide habitat for sea turtles.
Even though we're outside of turtle nesting season, safeguards are in place to protect the environment.
The season doesn't start till March, but they do have biologists on site and people monitoring that in case we get an early sea turtle nesting season, and then they'll work around that.
Residents and tourists will also have to work around construction over the next 6 months. But Eric Gill, the county communications director, says he's not worried about the potential impact on tourism.
We have 21 miles of beaches, so even if we have to close 3 of those miles, and it won't be closed all at the same time, there's plenty of opportunities for residents to get out and visitors to get out and explore other beach accesses.
Oklahoma is already known for its place in Tornado Alley. Now it has a new weather distinction. It has the highest concentration of lightning in the country. The new ranking bumps Florida off the top spot in lightning strike density. Weather monitors found Oklahoma had 73 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes per square mile last year. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, NOAA just released its 2025 Arctic Report Card. We'll tell you what it says and why it has scientists alarmed. And we'll show you why road salt isn't always the best option to keep roads clear of ice and snow.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. It's an active-looking weather pattern in the Northeast in the coming days, but weak systems are expected. I don't see anything terribly strong. We had a quick round of snow overnight through northern New England. The trend today will be for sun to increasing clouds. The next in the series already is moving into New York during the afternoon today with a round of rain. We're seeing more snow over northern New England. There'll be parts of the Northeast that get a little bit of freezing rain and rain. We'll see improvement on Wednesday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Looking like it'll be dry. We'll see some clouds rolling across the region with a weak disturbance that's going to very quickly move by. By Wednesday, we're still seeing milder temperatures and maybe a little bit more sunshine. So the Delmarva region still going to see 50s, possibly even 60s for Tuesday afternoon, while it will be chillier further north. We'll still see some of that milder air lingering around a bit for your Wednesday. We'll continue that warm up, reaching close to the 60s by Friday and Saturday.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. As we head into your Tuesday, expect some cloud cover and lingering fog to start off the morning for parts of the southeast. We'll keep a few clouds around heading into both Wednesday morning too, with mostly sunny sky each afternoon as high pressure remains in control for much of this week. A warm one for South Florida heading into Tuesday afternoon. Temperatures in the low 80s there across Central and South Florida, into the 60s more comfortable for most of the Carolinas, and the low 70s for the northern Gulf Coast.
I'm Aaron May, forecaster WSBT in South Bend, Indiana, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
Water quality is a concern among a number of groups in Iowa, and they want lawmakers to do something about it. Next week, representatives and senators there are heading back to Des Moines for the 2026 legislative session. Skylar Talal finds out why some of these groups say water quality needs to be a priority.
The overall trajectory over a longer term is that we're seeing an increase in nitrate concentrations. And because of stream flow, we're seeing an increase in the nitrate loads leaving the state of Iowa.
Iowa groups continue sounding the alarm, emphasizing the need to improve Iowa's water quality, asking state lawmakers to reinvest $600,000 a year for roughly 60 water sensors across the state, as they're expected to go offline with funding expiring this July.
It's really important when we're in a water crisis that at the very minimum, we're at least monitoring what's going on out there, because you can't fix any sort of water quality if you don't monitor where it's at right now.
They say the sensors measure a number of different data points, including drought or flooding conditions, but claim knowing how much nitrate is in Iowa's water is crucial.
As we look at the relationship between exposure to nitrate and various kinds of cancers and birth defects, this is really information that people deserve to have.
Groups say public awareness is key, and long-term data derived from the sensors could eventually help in finding potential solutions to the problem.
One of the states that leads in this challenge is Iowa. And so if we can solve the Iowa challenge, we could solve managing the nitrogen cycle perhaps across the Corn Belt and maybe across the country and around the world.
And NOAA just released its 2025 Arctic Report Card, and the findings are alarming. Meteorologist Emily Gracie sat down with one of the editors to find out what this year's report reveals and why the changes at the top of the world are impacting communities everywhere.
It's really focused on observations of different parts of the Arctic system. And it is looking at observations of the current year. And because we do it every year, we're able to stack up all those observations and not only see what's happening in the current year, but also look at that in the context of long-term trends.
Okay, and it's not just looking at sea ice, right? It's looking at a lot of different things.
There are what we call the 8 vital signs, and these are aspects that we track every single year. And this is Arctic sea ice, the Greenland ice sheet, surface air temperatures, sea surface temperatures, the greening on the tundra, the phytoplankton production in the ocean, and then snow cover. And so across those, precipitation as well. So those are aspects that we track every single year, and we maintain this long-term data set. We also track other features less frequently, just because we can't capture everything in a single year. So this year, for example, we're looking at the melt of glaciers and ice caps outside of Greenland. One topic this year that we covered is rusting rivers, which got a lot of attention when we released the report last week.
Okay, the 2025 report card, what does that reveal? What's noteworthy for this year?
We can clearly see that the Arctic is warming much faster than the globe overall. What was striking this year is that we saw the warmest year ever recorded in the Arctic since at least 1900, when regular observations began, as well as the most precipitation ever in the Arctic in a given year. Certainly we understand that as the Arctic warms, that we do expect to see more precipitation. But to actually see those 2 records in the same year was just quite remarkable and underscored a lot of what we understand to be true about the future for the Arctic.
To hear more about the specific impacts to the Arctic involving rusting rivers, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. We will have new episodes, of course, every Tuesday this month. You can find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
The United States of America has a big birthday coming up this year, 250 years. I'm Taylor Murray, and over the course of the next several months, we'll take you through many of the attributes and ideals that make America special. We begin with a journey through many of her beautiful landmarks. From the roar of Niagara Falls to the quiet majesty of the Grand Canyon, America tells her story not just in words, but in the landmarks that define her. In the east, the Statue of Liberty still lifts her torch above New York Harbor, a symbol of welcome for dreamers and doers for nearly a century and a half. Down the coast, Washington, D.C. rises in marble and reflection, where every monument, every memorial reminds us of a nation forever striving to form a more perfect union.
America is just one of those places where it's like, it's not just concentrated on one type of race or one type of people. We're all united.
There's always things that can be improved upon, and that's anywhere, but I feel like overall it's still just that message of liberty and freedom and citizenship and democracy.
Travel west, and history meets the horizon. At Mount Rushmore, 4 faces of leadership gaze over the Black Hills. Not far away, the Badlands stretch wild and untamed, a landscape that dares you to remember that beauty can be raw and resilient. Across the plains, the St. Louis Arch curves skyward, a gateway to the frontier and to possibility itself. In the southwest, the Grand Canyon tells the story of time itself, its layers of color revealing chapters written long before our own. And further still, Monument Valley stands eternal, a red sandstone reminder of nature's power and grace. Then at the edge of the continent, California's Big Sur meets the Pacific. Waves crashing against cliffs older than memory. And through the mist, the Golden Gate Bridge stretches across the bay, a bridge not just of steel, but of spirit. From sea to shining sea, these landmarks are more than places. They're promises of resilience, of vision, of a nation still writing its next great story.
There's no other country better on earth than America. It's the place you want to be.
How our nation started and began and has continued to grow. The experiment is still alive. We're not going to fail.
This year, as we celebrate 250 years of the United States, Amazing America will take you there. to the landmarks that define us and the people who keep their stories alive. Because the land of the free is more than a place. It's a promise still unfolding. For Amazing America, I'm Taylor Murray with the National News Desk.
As we head to break, we take in views of Mount Rushmore.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We do have a few light rain and wintry mixed showers here across the Great Lakes region, including maybe some freezing rain as well, depending on your temperature. We will be dealing with temperatures warming up a little bit more for your Wednesday with some drier air returning and sunshine out across the plains. But then we have more rain kicking its way back in on Thursday with colder air moving in from the north.
Well, a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast today across the region, starting off with some patchy cloudiness and a few areas of fog, especially near the Gulf Coast. Mild temperatures for the afternoon, a good amount of sunshine, 60s, 70s, and 80s for highs. So another unseasonably warm day, maybe a sprinkle or two in Louisiana. We head into Wednesday's forecast, cool 40s, 50s into the morning, 60s near the Gulf Coast. Mix some clouds and sun for the afternoon. Still can get some pretty warm temperatures.
Well, hi there and a happy Tuesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Back to January, back to school, back to the office, back to pretty typical weather, at least in the PNW. Storms coming in from Alaska rather than Hawaii like they were a month ago, giving a lot of snowy hope for the Cascade ski resorts. Meanwhile, California is still getting pounded with that wet and stormy weather, gusty with some rain hanging out near San Diego later today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The winter months often lead to ice and snow on the roads, and officials work round the clock to keep those roads safe. Road salt can be a savior, but depending on the temperature, that salt could become useless. Meteorologist Erica Strenza explains.
Well, as we continue through the colder months, and as we, of course, get some of these colder nights, the salt that we have to put out on the roads to help us with the snow and the ice, once you get down below about 20 degrees, especially down into the single digits, it becomes very ineffective at melting any of that ice and snow. And that's because what salt actually does to the ice and the snow, it lowers that melting point in water. So once it gets too cold, you're no longer at that melting point, even with the help of the road salt out there and any of the brines or anything like that that these road crews use to help us out on these winter roads.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.